Hello. Okay, so today on Her Story, we are talking to Nadia Mentzel, a PhD candidate and lecturer in the Department of Media and Communication at Erasmus University, Rotterdam. Her research explores social media news engagement, online journalism, and how people stay informed. In a world shaped by algorithms and endless content, she's worked across different academic environments and research groups like ROCCS and JIM. And in her work, she looks not only at who participates online, but also who chooses not to and why. We will talk about her path from political science to media and journalism and what it's really like to work in academia, how she studies online participation and misinformation, and how she balances teaching, research, and everything in between. Nadia, thank you so much for joining us. We are very excited to have you here today.
Thank you for the invitation.
All right, before we start digging into your path and your background, we have a little session called Your Confession. It's where you share a funny story or maybe something slightly embarrassing that many people don't know about you yet. And for this episode, we thought about what would something be that would completely shock your students or friends or colleagues that they don't know about you yet.
Oh, that's a good one. Let me think. Something embarrassing, right?
Could be anything.
Maybe a hobby, a past job, or a guilty
Yeah, it's not really embarrassing, but I'm really like a peanut butter addict, so I can eat everything with peanut butter.
Like
yeah,
bread and peanut butter.
like in my yogurt, like bread, like everything. So as long as I have my peanut butter, I'm happy. Yeah.
I feel maybe I'm having like a misconception, but I feel that maybe that's a Dutch thing. Because all my Dutch friends, they always like, oh, peanut butter, let's put peanut butter on this, on that. I'm like, peanut butter?
Yeah.
That's so cool to know.
Yes, it is. Okay, so we would like to start by asking, we know that you started in political science field and then you went more into media and journalism. So we would like to ask you, how would you explain that path or that transition? How was it?
So I did study political science at the UvA. And I remember the open day for political science. I was so fascinated. I also, like a lot of students, high school graduates, I didn't know what to do, like, okay, what will be my path? What will be my interest? And then I went to that open day and I was so fascinated by like the different political theories, the different political systems, like in Europe or around the world, like the international environment. So that made me very fascinated about politics. And I chose the international track of political science. And during my studies, I got fascinated by the role of journalists in democracy. So like the political view on journalism, but also the triangle of the public, the politics, and journalists. So how is the interplay between these actors? And I think that sparked my interest in journalism slowly by slowly. And I also really like writing during interviews as a method. So I think that maybe also sparked my interest in these kind of practices that you need, also in work of journalism. But I didn't really know yet back then, okay, do I really want to work in journalism or do I want to study journalism? So after my bachelor's, I did an internship in journalism at the biggest newspaper of the Netherlands. It's the AD, Algemeen Dagblad. And I covered the region of Rotterdam. And that was really my first real encounter with the journalism practice. And I learned a lot. It was also my supervisor was great. Like he threw me into the deep, so to say. So yeah, I could do like basically almost everything, and I could ask a lot of questions, and I really learned a lot. I could do interviews, but also more the high pressure journalism of catching the news every day. But I also discovered that this high pressure everyday news journalism wasn't really for me. But I was still fascinated by journalism. But I thought, okay, maybe I want to do something with investigative journalism, like this more long-term projects, because I really like doing interviews and talk to people, get to know people really better. And then I thought, okay, maybe I like studying journalism. Let's see. I will do the masters, and then I will see. Okay, either I go back in journalism, or I continue my path more in the research field. So I also didn't know that back then, but yeah. And to be honest, after my internship, I was like, okay, did I actually chose the right masters? Because I wasn't super convinced by the type of journalism I practiced. But then I also became conscious about the fact that journalism is so much more than this everyday news. Like it's a lot. So I was very happy with my masters, and I got even more intrigued with the journalism field, so to say. Yeah.
Oh, that's really, really interesting. And I think especially for younger people who maybe don't know yet what to do, it helps them to understand your field. And I wanted to ask, what was the first, was there a moment where you knew, okay, I want to research online engagement, or a different type of journalism?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's a good question. So I think I've always been fascinated by what drives people. So what are people's motivations? Why do they behave like they do? What drives them? And when I started my master's, I wasn't particularly interested yet in public's engagement. But of course, during the courses, you get familiar with certain theories, and you actually get to know the audience perspective a little bit better, and that you can actually do research on this. And I really remember well the moment you had to apply for a supervisor for your master thesis, and it was also aligned with the topic of the expertise of the supervisors. And my supervisor, Maaike Slot, her expertise is the relationship between journalists and their audiences, and I read through her summary of her topic, and that really attracted my attention. I was like, okay, this is actually what I'm interested in and what I want to do. And this project, she offered, was also in collaboration with a news organization, De Groene Amsterdammer, which is a quality weekly journalism magazine. And so also the connection with the field, and by collaborating with such a news organization and then researching the audience perspective was super interesting. Yeah, so it was actually more towards the end of my master thesis that I really became interested in that topic. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. It was a very mindful moment for you to start tracing a path. Oh, I like this, I don't like that. Inside already. In the area of journalism, and I guess maybe that sparked your interest in research. And I would like to ask you, for those who aren't familiar with your work as a PhD candidate, could you talk a little bit more about your work in this research field as a lecturer?
Yeah.
Talk me through it.
Yeah, that's a very good question, because also I didn't know at all what a PhD entailed, up until actually I started doing a PhD. So in my case, I have a 6-year trajectory because I'm teaching half of the time. But normally a PhD is around 4 or 5 years, and then you teach 20% of your time, 15% or even less. It really depends. I teach half of the time, so therefore I have 6 years. And as a lecturer, I'm teaching, different courses from the International Bachelor Media and Communication, as you know. And I'm starting supervising internships for the Master's Media and Journalism. So, you are teacher in both programs. But as a researcher, you obviously have to research, but how does it look like? You can see it as you are writing for or conducting 4 comparable to a master thesis project studies. So yeah, I'm planning to do 4 studies at least during my PhD. And when it comes to the scale and depth of your study, it's similar to a master thesis, but instead of writing like 20,000 words, about your study, you're translating it directly into a publishable paper. So around 8,000 words. It really depends on the requirements for each journal. And the idea is that you at least publish a few of your studies, and the other ones should be publishable. And then you can defend your project. And all these studies contribute to one big research question you are trying to answer throughout these years. And then at the very end, you have to defend your work in front of a committee with all very renowned and professors that are working in your field. So the senior researchers that are going to ask very critical but also relevant questions. And then you first do a presentation, and then you have time to answer their questions. So that's like the wrap up of your PhD.
No, it's so interesting. I didn't even know all of that.
Me neither.
I'm gonna have a little jump back to your master's and your master's thesis, where you looked at why people avoid online participation. Things like cancel culture, algorithms, and toxicity. What led you to explore that specific angle? I know you said you had your supervisor working already in this field, but was there a moment before you where you were like, oh, this is what I'm really interested in? Could you
So again, I was always be motivated in uncovering people's motivations. And if you apply for a supervisor for a topic for your thesis, you don't have like a specific research question yet, right? You're gonna start reading a lot. You're gonna explore the field. Okay, what's already known about your topic? I also read a lot of like journalism articles, like read about news organizations, the audiences. So you first explore what is already out there. And then I actually discovered that, what I noticed also in practice is that the more and more news organizations are trying, or back then it's already a couple of years ago, started trying to involve their audiences in their everyday practices. So you can think of allowing the public to send in a letter or any suggestions for a news story, maybe co-creating even news stories or any journalism pieces, but also more the lower level participation, such as letting the public allowed to share news articles via social media or respond below an article in the news apps. So news organizations were really trying to involve their public, but research actually showed that it's only a minority of people that participate and that let their voice heard via social media. And I was interested about the silent majority, the majority of people that aren't using any of these participatory tools. What really drives them, and what are the differences between the younger generation and the older generations in these motivations? And that was ultimately my topic.
That's so interesting, because I think we have many academic research nowadays on people engaging online, echo chambers, algorithms, filter bubbles, and especially talking more in the political field, polarization. But people do not focus on those who prefer to be silent, and why do they prefer to be silent. So I find it very interesting. We had a brief reading in your thesis. We didn't go in depth. So thank you so much for sharing. And now I would like to move a little bit to your different part of the research environment. You went from teaching to group like ROCCS and JIM. And which of these environments you think was very helpful for your trajectory, for your professional life, and which do you think you grew out the most out of it,
Mm.
or that changed you a lot as a person?
Yeah. Yeah, so these research clusters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like within our department, we have like various groups of scientists that collaborate together, that form a group, like a cluster based on their expertise and interest. And I'm indeed part of two clusters, and actually both really contributed to my growth. It was like actually when I just started doing my PhD, I could join both clusters, and I think especially if you just start with research, it's really helpful to be with peers, collide with peers that are like in the same field, more senior researchers that can inspire you, but also give you any tools for how to do research, how to deal with the peer feedback you get, or the review you get from journals. Because if you want to publish a paper, you also get a lot of feedback back. Either you get rejection, it gets accepted, or you have to go through some feedback rounds before you can get it published. And yeah, so both clusters really helped me with that, and there has been some peer feedback sessions organized for PhDs by ROX, for example, with the support of actually both Jim and ROX. I could organize a podcast workshop together with my colleague Alessia Gebauer. But I think the cluster that fits my research topic the most is JIM, which is Journalism, Information Technologies and Media Use. And in the end of 2024, we actually made, me and Alessia, we made a podcast together with Jim about trust in journalism, and that was super cool. So not only supporting in terms of research, but also this science communication path I could really continue doing during my PhD with Jim, because before I started doing my PhD, I worked for a podcast, a science podcast. So as you do, I really like making podcasts. So that's also the opportunity they gave me to do that. That was great. Yeah,
That's so interesting. And having in mind that you talk about your colleague, Alessia, I would like to move a little bit on our conversation to women in academia.
Mm-hmm.
And as a woman in academia, have you ever faced some specific challenges, like whether in teaching, publishing, research field, wherever? And how did you react upon it?
Yeah, a good question. So I have to say, me personally, not. So I didn't feel any challenge or difficulties because I am a woman. I also think that over the years it has become better. Also, research shows from the National Network of Female Professors, some numbers show that women are better represented in academia. So I think it has been improved over the years, and actually at our department, the Media and Communication department, there are I believe more women working than men. So that's actually a development, I would say. And also my supervision team consists full of women, so I'm surrounded by a lot of women. So personally, no, I didn't face any difficulties regarding that topic, but what the figures also show is that there are still some improvements to be made. Especially if you think about the higher positions in academia, women are still underrepresented, especially when it comes to full professorship. So I hope that I don't will face any challenges in the future as well. But I also think especially because I'm in my early career, it is not something I had to deal with, luckily.
Yeah, glad to hear that, because I feel, as you said, so we still have many problems regarding women in academia, but at the same time, we are moving towards a new, improved era for women. And talking a little bit more about this, I would like to ask you if there's any research project, publication, or teaching moment that felt very like rewarding for you.
Yeah, definitely. I think, yeah, if you want to pursue like an academic career, I think that the first ever publication is it feels like a great milestone. Yeah, I didn't even know that wasn't a possibility at all. So that was also something very new for me, and that was actually also the first time I started considering also doing a PhD. So okay, actually I can publish my master thesis if I rewrite it and try to submit it to a journal. So yeah, the first publication was really felt as a reward. And something else, last year, again, Alessia and I, we won the societal impact, one of the societal impact awards from our faculty of the year for the podcast that we made together with Jim about trust in journalism. So yeah, I think this reward for the science communication we are trying to do that also really felt special. I would say.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Those are two huge achievements. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I have one more question. Media and technology, especially nowadays, is evolving very quickly. Like we all see it. We all use AI more and the social media platforms. How do you manage to stay up to date with the developments in this field?
Yeah. So it's also very personal, I think. Like, what kind of channels do you prefer to keep up to date? What kind of news channels? But I try to, take information from various sources. Of course, I try to read the news every day. I have to confess, like I do research on informedness, but it's really challenging to read everything, right? Especially if you are working every day. So yeah, I try to follow the news. There's a lot of like news on AI and the new developments, right? But there are also like these journalism platforms. So if you are interested in journalism, you have like for example, the Nieman Journalism Lab. They write also blogs about all kinds of new developments within the industry. But you also have like these reports, such as the Digital News Report. But also, of course, the academic research on these topics, right? The thing is, with academic research is that it takes some time to get published. So, the best is to do research about it yourself. So then you have like the information about these developments right away.
Super interesting. Thank you. Before we jump into our reoccurring segment called Her Backbone and Her Backpack, I have one last question. What would you say was your biggest pivot so far in your journey? Was it more leaving the traditional political science field or more to like focus on media and journalism?
Mm-hmm.
Or like, what would you say?
So I think both do collide. So I think what I'm doing now, both worlds come together. And that's what I really like about my research now on informedness and specifically what social media reliance for news means for informedness. And also the more conceptual perspective. What does informedness mean? You know, like when do people feel informed? That it's quite normative. And I think, I bring back like different perspectives and elements from both study programs. So that's why I love doing it and what I'm doing. So
Okay, now we are gonna start with our recurring segment that we have in our podcast in this new season. So at WBN, we strongly believe that women's journey is basically built from two main aspects, and that is the people who support her and the tools she gathers throughout her way. So time for our recurring segment,
Uh-huh.
her backbone and her backpack. And
Yeah, first I'm gonna ask you, who is one woman who played a meaningful role in your journey so far? Someone who maybe have opened a door for you or challenged you or inspired you.
Oh, can I only mention one?
mention as many as you want.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I really like this question because I think there are multiple like special women that really gave me opportunities and opened doors and still inspire me. The first one is my supervisor, Meike Slot, Dr. Meike Slot, and she was also my supervisor of my master thesis. So she actually, inspired me with the topic of audience engagement and how to do research on journalism. I learned a lot from her in that sense, and she's super supportive. I would definitely mention her. And as I said, like my whole supervision team exists of women. So also my promoter, Susanne Jansen, professor, and Dr. Sergil. They are all women that are super supportive in my supervision team. And also, if I look back at my previous job, my manager at the UvA, when I was working as a journal lecturer in science communication, my manager was Dr. Lotte Salome, and she also gave me the trust to step in front of the class without any experience. Of course, I finished my master's and I had some very basic teaching experience, but not like as really in front of bachelor students, right? It's something else. It's really like the university level teaching. So she gave that trust and she really let journal lecturers feel comfortable. And she was also really supportive. So she was more like on the lecturing side, the first woman that really inspired me. It sounds a bit cliche maybe, but it's also my mom.
Oh.
Always.
I can imagine.
I think what I like, aside from that, she's super supportive in everything I do. That she really learned me to follow your passion, and she's super independent and hard worker. She's a photographer and lawyer. And she really, she's really a role model for me of being a hard worker, pursuing a career, but also being a mom. So that's really still a woman that inspires me. That like if academia can sometimes be a little bit daunting, or demotivating. I think that's normal in every job. But then I think back of her and I'm like, no, we gotta push through.
It is so amazing to know you have so many wonderful women who helped you and guided you and probably became actual colleagues throughout your journey. And now I would like to ask you, based on your journey, what would it be if you have to build a backpack for a woman entering your field right now? What would be 3 essentials you would definitely put on it?
Yeah, I really like this question. Well, first of all, I would recommend finding a mentor. Either your supervisor, like what Mike is for me, or some like external person that isn't really like direct colleague or per se attached to your field, but someone you can share your concerns with, your uncertainties, but also your milestones or any advice on anything that has related to your professional career. I really would recommend that, especially in your early career, but I think throughout your whole journey. Secondly, what I would advise is curiosity. Be curious always. Be open to new things. Explore. Keep on exploring the field you're working, because developments, as you said yourself, right? Also with AI and in journalism in general, it's developing so quickly. So you have to be curious about what is happening, but also curious about like the new people you meet. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Also, for you students, if you find teachers or guest lecturers super inspiring, don't be afraid to step in forward and ask questions or for advice. People always love to talk with students, I think, and give advice or also get inspired by students. I think it's a two-way interaction in that sense. So that's the second point. And then the third tool for your backpack is resilience. Yeah. I think resilience is very important, especially, I think in every field you are working, but I can only speak from my perspective. So in academia, you get a lot of feedback. You get a lot of rejections as well. Even though you work very hard towards like a conference, you might not be accepted. Like for example, I just submitted an abstract for a very big conference, ICA. It's being held in South Africa next year. But like only a small percentage get accepted ultimately. So you have to be ready for that and also prepare that, okay, I'm doing my best, but you can also get rejected or get a no if you want to apply for funding. That's also what involves academia. You have to apply for funding for projects. So I think resilience is important. Keep motivated, although you get some rejections, and feedback is a good thing, right? It's you learn from it. So also try not to take feedback personally, but really see it as an opportunity to grow, and also don't be afraid to fail, because if you don't fail, then it's also hard to to grow. So it can be a little bit scary sometimes and daunting, but it's very important. Yeah.
No, definitely. I think all the three things you named are not just for your field, but I think for everyone out there, depending, like, doesn't matter what time in their life. I think it's super important.
Definitely.
Things. So we're going to switch things up a little bit. We're going to do a short round of fired questions. So you're just going to answer the first thing that comes to your mind. You can pass on every question you want to and don't want to answer. And I'm going to start. News on TikTok, great for reaching young people or risky for democracy, or both? What would you say?
I would say both, because I think it can be a good format to get young people be familiar with the news and get engaged with the news. But then I would prefer maybe another platform which is not controlled by big tech. Yeah.
As you know, right?
Yeah.
Okay. One thing universities do for innovation that feels totally performative.
Sorry, one more time.
One thing that universities do for innovation.
Yeah.
That feels totally performative.
Yeah. Let me think. Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's like at the food court, you have like a lot of vegetarian options now, right? But it's super expensive. So I'm like, okay, I don't know whether students get really, enthusiastic about the new like food stands in the food court, because okay, maybe it's healthy and it's like green and everything, but yeah. Yeah.
No, I get that. It's got quite expensive to go there. Okay, if your PhD had a clickbait title, what would it be?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, so it's this reminds me of a title we are still thinking of for also sort of like research cluster, but in collaboration with other universities, with researchers on the topic youth and news. And we were thinking about this wordplay, something with curiosity and news, like, but then it's like in Dutch, it sounds funny because it's nieuwsgierig. It's like news and then collides with the word curiosity, but then in Dutch. But it's not maybe not the best word to choose for for an international environment. But for now,
I think we take it.
Youth and news. Yeah, my creative brain in the morning is not really on yet. This early morning.
Too early.
Yeah, too early.
Okay, so to summarize things up from this section, we're going to end this episode with an advice for your younger self.
Yes. So an advice for my younger self. This is so if I think back, for example, during my bachelor studies or even my master's, and I think even still I would give myself this advice. Say to yourself, it will be fine. You do your best, don't be afraid to fail. Get over this imposter syndrome, which is, I think, familiar to a lot of people. So you will be fine. Be proud of yourself. Push through, also follow your gut feeling and try to find your own path. Don't compare yourself too much to others in a negative sense. Get inspired by others, learn from others, from the more senior people. But try to find your own path. I think that's something I would say to my younger self, but also to my current self.
Yes, that's so sweet. And I think this advice comes always at the best times, because we usually, when we're passing through a moment that we're struggling a lot or that we're overwhelmed, we cannot look at it and say, okay, it will be fine. It's a phase. It's a moment. It will pass. So I think it's something, basically a mindset that you need to implement on your everyday.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's a very, very good advice, which we all should have in mind all the time. Kind of jumping into the same question, if you could return to your first day of university, is there anything you would do differently? Is there anything you would give yourself the advice for, except for the one that you just said?
Yeah. So I would indeed also say what I just said, but to mention something else. So what I would do differently, I don't think I would per se do something very different, but I think it's good to explore some interdisciplinary fields. So of course you have your own study program, and also the study programs have become more interdisciplinary. But if you can do some extracurricular courses, try to find something from another field, for example, to get other perspectives. But also things you are doing, I think that's great. Making a podcast, invite guests, speakers. I think that's really a good thing. So I actually only started making podcasts after my master's. So that's maybe something I would have done differently, already doing this during my bachelor's. And I think, you can be very proud of that. So doing these extracurricular things. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And to summarize everything up, we would like to finalize asking you, what is one belief or about success and career, especially, that you would have dropped off earlier if you could?
I would say I wanted to say perfectionism, but it can also be a blessing, because it helps you pushing through and trying to get better and better. But it can also be a curse, because it can also block you or become a barrier. You don't have to do everything perfectly. Sometimes good is also good enough. So that's something I need to drop off, or I would recommend also maybe students to let go a little bit. Yeah.
I think this was the perfect advice to finish up. Nadia, thank you so much for coming to our podcast, for sharing insights with us, and we both had a really good time.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
It was an honor.
So
Thank
happy
you.
to have you here. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing all those insights and your professional journey. Definitely will inspire our audience. And thank you so much for being here today with us.
Thank you so much.
Perfect. I think we got
We
it.
got it. Yay!